Hello and welcome back to my channel. How y'all doing today? I do not have any makeup on yet. Surprise! I know it sucks. I don't have any makeup on yet, but I do have a lot of palettes. And no, I'm not doing my makeup today. We are doing a palette questionnaire, palette challenge, palette, I don't know what you call it. BeautyRave, Raven, and I decided to collab on this little questionnaire thing. And BeautBean is where I originally saw it. I sent it to BeautyRave and I said, hey, do you want to do this together? It seems really fun. So check out BeautyRave, go check out her collab. Let's get on with it, shall we? What I have done is gathered together a bunch of my palettes that I am to answer questions about. I will list these below, so if you want to do this with your friends or you just want to do it on your own, or maybe it's something to think about. It's kind of interesting to look at your palettes and think about them this way. If I were to pick an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents me as a color story, this was difficult. I have one and I have a runner-up. Some of these I have runner-ups because my palette collection is humongous and I have too many. I have too many that I love. I had to do runner-ups, but I did pick first places for these. I would say, maybe surprisingly to some, the one that represents me as a color story is the Urban Myth palette by Black Moon Cosmetics, and here it is. If you've gotten to know me watching my videos, you probably understand why this represents me pretty well. The colors are Area 51, Crop Circles, Boogeyman, Bermuda Triangle, Paranormal, Bloody Mary, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Loch Ness. I'm a huge X-Files fan. One of the things I fell in love with my husband was that he looked like Fox Mulder when I met him. Not the only reason I married him, but you know, that was up there on the list. I love this. The mirror is a little UFO shade, but I love this color story because it has everything I like in it. It has a metallic red, it has a metallic purple, a matte purple that's kind of the color of my Jeep. I love this cobalt. The greens goes without saying. Mothman is just a cool neutral. Like if I had to pick a neutral, I would pick a grungy neutral like this. And these are so pretty. I think they really killed it with this palette. So ta-da! I waited a long time for this one too. Urban Myth. I would say this color story represents me. There are a lot of my palettes that I could say represent me at different times. Right now, I'm kind of feeling this. I love this palette. And it's not too big, it's not too many colors. It's like just the right amount. As I was saying, I'm kind of gravitating towards smaller palettes. This is my runner-up, and here's why. I couldn't choose this as what represents me as a color story because I created this color story. This is Adept Cosmetics, and this is a color story I actually created. I bought all singles, and I put them into this palette. Yes, this is my color story, but I created it, not a company, so I didn't think it was totally 100% fair to put this as my color story. I don't want to say it's cheating, but you know. Okay, so number two, if I was to pick an eyeshadow palette that represents me as far as packaging, we have one that's funny. Pause for laughter. This is explicit. This was like, it's just really funny. This is a not safe for work. I will show you the names, but I'm not going to say them all out loud. So, but this cracks me up. I know some people don't think swearing is funny, but I just imagine doing a look with this and having to tell you what colors I'm doing. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would laugh. And so we're putting some bullshit in the crease with a little son of a bitch on the I'm sorry. Piss off. Piss off in the inner corner. It makes me laugh. And that's the thing is, like, I like to have fun. I like to laugh. And I think some people take like swearing and four-letter words too seriously. They're just words. They only have meaning and power if you give them meaning and power. I think this is hilarious. But that's my runner-up. This is my winner. The Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse. I love the raised moon on here. I love the metallic. I am a fan of all things with the moon. I will show you the color story. This came in close for a color story that represents me too. but it wasn't quite there. There were too many browns in here for me. The packaging, if I was going to design a palette, it would probably be raised like this and multicolor, cool, neato things. So there's that one. Number 3, palette in my collection that represents spring. I actually got a new one since I did my spring palette review, and this is Fairy Frolic by Alien Cosmetics. I love the packaging of this, but this is such a cool spring palette. So pretty. I love the colors. There are not color names, but who needs those? I can't wait to do a look with these. The pigment payoff is insanity. Just a few of the colors. There's some swatches of those metallics right there. This was not here when I did my spring palette review, because let me tell you, she would have been in the top 3. I am sure this would have been in the top. Love this mustardy yellow greenish color. I love this gold. Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of fun with this one. I just got this. I will be reviewing Alien Cosmetics. I have several of their things. No runner-up on that one. The next few there are not runner-ups for. I didn't cheat. Number 4, a palette in my collection that represents happy. Well, I had to do the companion palette for Eternal Eclipse, which is Strawberry Dream. And Manny did design these to kind of complement each other. And I think it's cool that I said the packaging that represents me, well, both of them together, but this represents happy to me. The Strawberry Dream palette, for one thing, it has like a strawberry scent to it, really light, and for another thing, look at this color story. That is a happy color story. You could not be in a bad mood and wear these colors, I don't think. It would be very difficult. There's nothing grungy about it. There's nothing spooky about it. I mean, of course it's Manny, so look at this pigment payoff. Hello. As if Manny would not do this with shadows. This is a happy palette to me. Love that. Number 5, a palette that represents the dark and grungy in me. There are 2 for this, but they're very similar. My Nomad Berlin Underground palette. I have 2 of them because I do not use one of them because I love it so much I can't use it. So this is Berlin Underground Nomad Cosmetics, another indie brand. I just love everything about this one. The black is actually metallic, really muted and strange. I really love this. A very close runner-up, and only because it's new, is Hank and Henry, the Poison palette. This is another great grungy one, but it does have a couple of pops of color in it. Not quite as grungy, so I put this as kind of a runner-up to my grungy palette. I hope Raven's not going to get mad at me that I did runner-ups. I mean, I do have picks for my number ones. And number 1, Nomad Berlin Underground. Number 6, if I were to pick an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents the girly. And well, you can't get more girly than this, can you? This is the Storybook Cosmetics Mean Girls inspired palette. It's Mean Girls. It's the Burn Book. That is girly to me. I love Gruel, this color Gruel. You can tell I've dug into that a little bit before. Girly. Girly, girly. This one is really tough. A palette in my collection that represents fun. This was really tricky. I have 2. Alberia, the Terra Moons Cosmetics. I don't know why people aren't still talking about this palette. This is a fun palette. That palette, and I have dug into this. I have used it. It doesn't look like it, but I've used a few of the colors. This palette it's happy and it's fun. But this is fun. This is the blue and orange and the greens. I mean, this is one of my favorite palettes I think I bought overall. And a close second, or maybe even a tie, is my Kimchi Mango Tango. Side by side. Very similar kind of feel to them. This is what I see as fun, like these bright colors, really bright reds, bright pinks. This has more pink in it, but the blues are very similar. The oranges, they both have the blue and orange. They both have the red right there. This has a couple more purples and doesn't have the greens. So I picked this one because I have to have greens in a fun palette. But Kimchi this is probably the closest to a tie that I have. Last one, this is really hard. A palette that represents inspiration. I have 3 that I had to consider for what represents inspiration. The first is the BeautBean Shroud It's Freaking Bats, which I could predict without seeing Raven's, but watching her review, she is going to put this as her palette that represents her. You already know that's going to happen. This is It's Freaking Bats. This is very inspirational to me. These just what they went through to make this palette and how much work went into this and getting it out to everyone and how everybody was kind of like patient with it. The company really went through so many ups and downs. They're inspirations in different ways. This to me is an inspiration that they just made it happen and how hard they worked, all of them, to make this happen. Inspiration number 2. My Nikkietutorials. It kind of reminds me of me. That's why I find this so inspirational. It's got the light side and the dark side. Like this color Pride that she did that really represents Nikkie as a color because it has the trans colors in it. It has the blue, pink, and white in it. I love that. I love that she has one named after her brother. She lost her brother and I lost my brother. I don't know. This is a very inspirational palette to me in a different way. This is inspirational because Nikkie inspires me. Now, I think my winner as far as what palette represents inspiration to me personally has to be Nomad, the only company to make 2 appearances in my list. And I did do Instagram looks with this. I have not done a look on camera with this, I don't think. This is the Iceland Fire and Ice palette from Nomad Cosmetics. I love everything about this. It had, until I destroyed the pressings, it has pressings that are the Aurora Borealis. It has the rocks that are like the volcanic rock kind of things. It has snowflakes, and then it has these kind of cracks, like glacial kind of cracks. I had so much fun. I took this palette when I went to Michigan in February for my mom's funeral. And of all the crappy things of being at a funeral and all, this palette was a very good thing. This is a very inspirational palette to me. It has, again, everything I love in it. But I love the Aurora Borealis colors. I'm a sucker for that. This just... there's so much to do in here. I don't think I could ever finish creating looks with this. I'm actually looking forward to someday hitting pan in this palette. Maybe if this one and this one, I may hit pan in. That's my list. What did you think? It's a lot of palettes. I know I kind of cheated and put runners up, but you know what? Girl has like maybe 200 palettes. Do you know how hard it is for me to pick 8? It's really hard. I mean, and I think at different days and different times I'd maybe pick different palettes. So that's my list. If you would like to do this, I'm going to leave the questions below in the description. Make sure you check out BeatyRave's video that I will link and her page that I will link below. She is a great friend of mine, one of my first non-related to me YouTuber friends, which is really cool. We are going to be doing probably a lot of collabs together this year, so looking forward to that. I am in my studio, and as I was editing this, I realized that my new camera, which is not a new camera, it's an old camera, decided to cut off the whole end of this video. But thank God, at least I got all the palettes and the questions in there. What I was going to say that got cut off was please subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to Raven's channel, BeatyRave. Comment below which ones of these you want to see me do maybe tutorials of or reviews of, if any. And thank you for watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!